If the last episode was just a fun filler with nothing of real consequence going on, this episode is the complete opposite. There is so much going on here, and an issue I've got is that I sort of jinxed myself. Remember how in that last video I declined to comment on Jessie's racial and cultural appropriation? My joke/excuse was that I'm white, and talking fairly about race is uncomfortable. Well, how about an episode squarely focused on racial lenses? So here's a fair warning. This video is being done by a white guy doing the best he can with some racially sensitive material. Hopefully the only people offended here are going to be the racially insensitive. Now, I don't know about you, but the first thing I do when I'm a hot, sweaty mess after running the mile is cozy up to my girl. They effing love when you smell like the onions on the Max's burgers. The last time we saw running Zack was in the previous season, where he got third place in a cross-country race. Practice apparently makes perfect, as Zack is now the fastest mile runner anyone has ever seen. With Zack in peak form, Bayside is sure to beat Valley in next week's championship track meet.
Zack, I haven't seen you run that fast since the time you stole Cindy Zeffirelli's bathing suit.
I hate to bust your bubble, Kelly, but that's not the only sensitive lady garment Zack has stolen. And for those who stomached Good Morning Miss Bliss, you'll recall that the Zeffirelli twins were present in the junior high year, except that they weren't. We never actually saw them. Zack once bribed Screech with a date with Laura Zeffirelli, and another time, Zack broke his dad's camera while taking secret pictures of the twins doing aerobics. Is there a pattern here? We've seen the twins throughout the past 2 seasons, but this is the first time they've been acknowledged by name, and we learn that the other twin is named Cindy. So we have Laura and Cindy. Also, Screech, keep your voice down. They are right there. Conversation turns to the family tree project, and Lisa relates that her great-great-great-grandfather was an escaped slave.
He must have been a very brave man.
Hey, my great-grandfather was brave, too. He was a bullfighter. That's cool.
Bullfighting's barbaric.
No, it isn't. Bullfighting's a sport.
Gosh dang it, show. We in here talking about bullfighting. I mean, listen. We're talking about bullfighting. Not the show. Not the show. Not the show. We're talking about bullfighting.
It would only be a sport if the bull had a sword, too.
A general image search would quickly reveal the slow death of a bull in a bullfight, as the bull is pierced with spiked sticks until it is too fatigued to carry on. Many images are bloody and gross. Plenty of images also exist of matadors being brutally gored, so yeah, bullfighting is awful. But I've also read The Sun Also Rises, which could also be titled Ernest Hemingway's 250-page boner for Spain. Hemingway was clearly fascinated by bullfighting and waxes brashly poetic about the art and philosophy of bullfighting. Through the lens of art, bullfighting is amazing, as there are graceful tricks, flicks, and maneuvers that helps a matador literally play with death. There are objective things that can reveal the matador's art, like how clean the final stroke is or how close the bull gets. But this of course leads us to the age-old question. Just because something can be labeled as art, is that justification enough to allow it to exist? It's a question I ask all the time when a Cheeky Girls song comes on. But unlike a Cheeky Girls song that I can just skip and find something infinitely better by default, bullfighting continues to kill over 100,000 bulls a year. Now, my job isn't to sway you one way or the other, but I do think this odd addition to the episode is a way to show that things, even things a person may feel are pretty obvious, can have a valid counterpoint if viewed through a different lens. Back to the episode, how's Zack's project going? Well, while rifling through an old pirate's treasure chest, Zack finds an old picture of a guy on a horse, and he assumes that this guy is his ancestor.
It's perfect for my family tree presentation. Hey, and you can help me be an Indian.
How?
That's a good start.
Oof, more on that in a second. In Miss Wentworth's class, Lisa presents on her ancestor Abraham Turtle. Abraham Turtle? Did the writers consciously give Lisa's slave ancestor the same first name as Abraham Lincoln, the vaunted freer of the slaves? We learned that Abraham was a conductor on the Underground Railroad.
My family calls this Underground Railroad the original Soul Train.
Dang it, Lisa! Time for another rabbit hole. You see, some people have a problem with Lisa flippantly referring to the Underground Railroad as the original Soul Train. In a vacuum, I don't see a problem with it. Lisa and her family are black. The Underground Railroad is a major part of American history, especially black history. Soul Train was monumental in giving black entertainment a broader voice. If Andre 3000 can call it the Underground Smell Road, then I'm pretty sure Lisa's family can call it the original Soul Train. But we aren't in a vacuum, are we? I'll illustrate this point by going back to that disappointing Domino comic run I referenced in the last video. In the second issue, Domino refers to her black former fiancé as nappy-headed. I'm not sure her eye spot qualifies her to use that type of adjective for a black man's hair, especially with the deep cultural roots hair has for Rastafarians. Then again, maybe they had that type of relationship.
I love the white chicks, but she has that patch over her eye that seems to say, hey big boy, I've got enough black in me for you.
The word goes down slightly better when the guy says it himself in the next issue, but here's where the lack of a vacuum comes into play. These issues were penned by a white man. Based on the understood relationship, the portrayals might be accurate enough, but should a white man be the one to normalize or codify how black people are depicted in mass media? Oh, you know where this train of thought is headed. As if we didn't already have enough baked into this episode, we learned that Jessie's ancestors were slave traders.
Lisa, can you ever forgive me? I'm so ashamed.
Apologizing to just Lisa, eh? And while we don't actually see the boom mic, its passing shadow assures us of its constant presence.
You know, we can all find things in our past that are unpleasant, but we can also learn from the mistakes of Jessie's forefathers.
Despite Miss Wentworth's suggestion, Jessie spends the rest of the episode drowning in white guilt and begging Lisa for a way to absolve herself of the sins of her ancestors.
Lisa, why don't I carry your books to the pep rally?
Lisa doesn't think that will cover Abraham Turtle's 40 acres and a mule? Zack is called up and he bull craps his way through his report. Nice pre-cut apple. Zack claims to be from the Cherokee tribe.
And where were they located?
They lived in the valley. Oh, but way far out.
Yet not even a little close. Zack's presentation fails to mention how the Cherokee Nation was forced off its land because there's gold in them Georgia hills to relocate to Oklahoma. Over a quarter of the people died in the march, and the route is infamously titled the Trail of Tears. I guess genocide goes down easier when you don't have to pull a trigger. Look at me doing Zack's friggin' homework for him. Zack's report is insensitive and frankly racist, but it's supposed to be. We have to see him at the bottom to appreciate his growth by the end of... Dang it! Miss Wentworth sends Zack to see a friend of hers so he can learn about his true heritage and redo his report. Up to now, we've seen Miss Wentworth teach animal reproduction, psychology through propaganda, and now social studies. And apparently she likes that mustard yellow color. Zack visits Miss Wentworth's friend, a man named by the white writer as Chief Henry.
You're supposed to be an Indian. Why are you wearing a Dodger hat?
Well, because the Raider helmet's too hot.
You know, this is a good moment here, as Zack learns that there may be some holes in his understanding of Native Americans. Showing his ignorance is another good step in hopefully revealing Zack's eventual growth. When Zack explains that he needs some help with a 3-minute presentation, Chief Henry hooks him up. And in a move that makes zero sense, Zack complains to Mr. Belding about the reading cutting into his track practice. But I mean, Zack man, do your classic corner cutting, bro. Just because a not your teacher at all gave you a butt ton of books doesn't mean you have to read them all to complete your 3-minute assignment. Regardless, Mr. Belding tries to flex on Miss Wentworth.
I think that Zack should get an extension on his family tree project.
Ooh, is it gonna work? Is it gonna work?
He's had over 30 days and it's still not done.
Oh, nads. So Zack is studying in the Max. Hopefully one of those books is Sherman Alexie's absolutely true Diary of a Part-Time Indian. It may not help with his report, but it could be good for some perspectives and empathy.
Hey guys, look at this. My ancestors' pictures in this old history book.
Yeah, it says Neri was a famous chef.
Not a chef, you idiot. A chief.
Don't sweat it, Screech. It's an easy enough mistake to have made.
Great googly moogly.
Zack returns to speak with Chief Henry, as he is legitimately curious about his Native American ancestor.
You see, your great-great-great-grandfather was a warrior in the Nez Perce tribe under the mighty Chief Joseph.
What was his name?
Whispering Wind.
Except, that wasn't his name. Now, you might be saying, hold on, why can't fictional Zack Morris's great-great-great-grandpa be named Whispering Wind? Can't we let white writer Jeffrey J. Sachs invent the name of a fake Plains chieftain? Sure, but not when a genuine historical image is used, and not when you show us the textbook said image came from, and not when I could buy that textbook on eBay for $6, because it turns out that the show boosted this man's likeness and personal history and attributed it to the fake Whispering Wind for a goofy TV show. This is a real man known as Looking Glass, and it is his story that he helped Chief Joseph attempt to lead the Nez Perce to Canada, in which endeavor he lost his life. He earned a place in this very real textbook for his bravery and leadership. It is a massive disservice to take his likeness and legacy and appropriate it for this effing thing. Chief Henry gives Zack a sweet headband, and Zack, hungry for more knowledge, accepts an invitation to the beach to hear more about his ancestors. Chief Henry is now a trusted adult in this show, so inviting a hot underage kid to do some shirtless bodyboarding in the hot California sun shouldn't come off as creepy.
It's Friday.
Yeah, it is! Which means it's time for the last of the family tree reports. And I typically go to bat for Screech, but his report on his Italian spy grandfather named Luigi Powerelli is just pure cringe.
The Powerelli technique became legendary. Women could not control themselves. Behold.
Oof. Even Herbert Hodis is having a hard time taking this seriously. And then enters Zack. Now, you'll recall that Lisa didn't dress as Abraham Turtle for her presentation, nor did Jessie dress as a dirty human trafficker, nor Screech as the suave spy Luigi Powerelli, but here's Zack in full Native American ceremonial clothing. Yes, we've seen him grow and learn to appreciate his heritage, but the show just had to go and kick that progress square in the balls. I'm sorry, but you don't just go and wear clothing you know so little about. Ceremonial tribal wear is something earned. I don't think a few days with Chief Henry warrants this glorified cosplay. Oh, Bonnie McMurray. This portrayal is okay. The context is Bonnie is off to showcase how non-natives shouldn't dress for Halloween. That's not what Zack's doing. On the other hand, Zack's speech is quite moving.
Rather than watch his people die, Chief Joseph surrendered. He said, "I am tired of fighting. Our chiefs are killed. Our children are freezing. My people have no food. My heart is sad."
Boom! Ha-ha! Yeah, we got one! I'm sorry, what? You're disappointed that I ruined Zack's misguided moment with my own misguided moment? Sorry. With Zack's report done, Mr. Belding can't wait to hear if Zack can run in the track meet.
Yes! Yes! We are finally gonna cream Valley. Zack, I love you!
Great googly moogly.
Oh, gosh dang it, what is it this time? Oh yeah, everyone is gushing over Zack's mile-running prowess and makes it seem like Bayside has no chance to beat Valley unless Zack runs. How can this be possible? A track and field meet has like 20 events. How can Zack's one event be the sole decider? I just don't understand how this flimsy premise is what drives the whole episode. If Zack's project isn't done, no race! But now that Zack's project is done, but Chief Henry has died, Zack doesn't want to race. So now I'm confused. Should we say the focus of the episode is the track meet? Or is the unintentionally intentional racism the focus? Can both just be the MacGuffin? Well, it's pep rally time, and Kelly is confusing me.
Lisa is the quickest girl on 2 feet. With her on her side, we can't be beat. Go, Lisa! Woo!
So Lisa's the reason Bayside will beat Valley? Not Zack? Come on, show, make up your dang mind. Lisa shows off her Florence Griffith Joyner-style nails, and then our hero Zack gets introduced.
Wow. Zack's so fast I didn't even see him come in.
It's because he didn't show up, you twink.
Did Slater just call Screech a twink? Maybe it meant something else in the early 90s. No, it's almost always been a derogatory term for a youthful-looking, skinny, hairless gay guy. Wow. And can I just say that doing research for these videos has given me the strangest internet history. The things I find in the name of Saved by the Bell. As I noted earlier, Chief Henry has died, and Kelly finds Zack in a state of shock. Chief Henry had opened Zack's eyes to his heritage, and Zack is so distraught at losing one of the only adults who ever had an impact on his life that he bails on the track meet. Until, oh gosh, dang it. You know, we almost got through the episode without getting the mystical Indian trope. You know, that old cliche of, if there's a Native American involved, then something otherworldly will happen. Up to this point, Chief Henry has come across as a chill surf bum. But not any longer. He is now a vision, giving Zack veiled answers to the track meet conundrum.
And remember, the answer to your problem is in your hands.
The answer is in Zack's hands? Oh, gotta love those mystical narratives. And of course Zack is gonna race. I love how Mr. Belding perpetuates the running gag with Valley High.
All right, everybody, let's go beat Valley. For sure. For sure.
Chief Henry was played wonderfully by Berti, a Cherokee Apache. Along with writing and stage appearances, Dehl appeared in many movies and TV shows, including The Ten Commandments, The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin, Gunsmoke, Bonanza, and perhaps most notably, his extended 50-plus appearances in Paradise as John Taylor. It's easy to see that the majority of his on-screen credits involve depictions of Native Americans. Now, as a fun game, guess which of the following animals made up the most of his character names? Take a little second there, and there you go. Bear! It was a little fun, right? Berti worked in an industry that rarely tried to portray Native Americans as little more than manifest destiny target practice. Yo, is that guy okay? Predominantly white writers with zero internet access merely had to take what info they had and regurgitate it, which is why this portrayal of a tribal chief was still being used nearly 30 years later.
Hey, and you can help me be an Indian. How? That's a good start.
You see, how is a greeting in the Lakota language, but it is commonly used in entertainment to be valid for any of the other 244 indigenous languages in the United States. This is a grossly misleading, failed bit of representation. And that's why it's almost impossible for a well-meaning, uneducated white guy to be writing this kind of episode. Now, like Jessie's song, this episode was an attempt to tackle a weightier topic. Unlike Jessie's song, this attempt fails miserably, and I chalk it up to cramming too much into the story. For starters, it's clear that Zack learns a valuable lesson, but then he doesn't by ignorantly adopting a style of dress that would make the fake whistling wind turn over in his grave. Second, Chief Henry is fun, but what more do we know about him other than beach bum Indian who reads and then dies? We never hear what tribe or tribes he's from. He acts as a knowledge conduit and is then relegated to the heavens. We don't care that he dies because we don't know him. Third, why did Zack have to be of Native American descent in the first place? Mark-Paul Gosselaar is half Indonesian. That could have been something novel to depict on television. Fourth, why make Screech Italian? We know it plays a part in a future episode, but Dustin Diamond was Jewish. The writer couldn't give him a Jewish spy relative, because I'm sure everyone would want to see that. Fifth, of all of Jessie's ancestors, she picked the slave trader. She didn't have a farmer or traveling insurance salesman to report on. She could have done what I did in high school and just make up a relative and cheat your way to an A. Side note, we don't hear from Kelly, whose last name is likely Prussian, which means the writers would have been forced to give her a Nazi relative. Now, finally, Lisa has always been portrayed as just another one of the gang. Being black has never been an issue, and that is commendable. Saved by the Bell helped normalize diverse friendships. But this sanitation of Lisa's reality falls apart when given the screen time, because, Holy crap, Lisa has a slave ancestor, and she is suddenly confronted with the possibility that her best friend's forefather may have been the slave trader involved. A whole effing episode could be devoted to this one storyline as Lisa and Jessie process how this could affect their friendship and what racial identity means. Instead, Lisa just shrugs her shoulders and forgives Jessie and us whites for all of racism. It sure is nice when minorities on TV don't make me feel awkward in any way. With all this forced, convoluted drama, this episode forgets to have much fun. Back to Jessie's song, Jessie's eventual breakdown is balanced well with the bright, shiny, fun parts. Here, the only real comedy is when Screech is given one-liners.
My ancestors? Adam and Eve.
I didn't know Adam and Eve's last name was Morris.
And after Abraham Turtle escaped from slavery, he became a conductor in the Underground Railroad.
They had subways during the Civil War?
But we can also learn from the mistakes of Jesse's forefathers.
Jesse had forefathers?
Here's the guy who can put us over the top, our new star in the mile, Zack Morris.
Wow. Zack's so fast I didn't even see him come in.
And those were just the good ones. All in all, I believe it was a well-intentioned attempt at addressing some racist issues. It just fell flat being handled by a writer that didn't have to deal with these issues on a day-to-day basis.
Great googly moogly.